Joined by Ali Noorai. He's the Executive Director of the National Immigration Forum, who, by the way, will be giving the keynote address at the upcoming New Pioneers American Dream Award Luncheon here in town. And you're actually going to be speaking on Utah's role in helping shape the immigration debate all across the country. You even write about that in your book. It's There Goes the Neighborhood. I actually read Chapter 2 last night to get familiar with the book. Very interesting. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, Ali, is the connection you found here in the state of Utah when you didn't think you would find it. Talk about that common ground that you were pleasantly surprised by.
In 2010, remember, it was a very polarized moment. Now, of course, 2010 seems quite quaint these days, but
Sure.
in 2010, it was a moment where you really had Democrats and Republicans at each other's throat. Just to our south in Arizona, SB 1070, the Papers, Please law was moving into the state. But in Utah, something different happened. You had Republican law enforcement, you had the Catholic Church, you had the Mormon Church, you had the business community, all working together to create a different dialogue altogether. And what happened in Utah in 2010, the Utah Compact, changed the nation's debate around immigration fundamentally.
I want to get more to the Utah Compact in just a minute, but first talk about, you wouldn't expect to find that type of reception in a conservative state. So what was it about Utah that was ripe for this type of conversation?
What I learned from Utah and what I found as I was researching the book over the last year is that Utah's immigration debate, whether it's in 2010 or over the last year, is shaped more by the state's culture and values than by this highly partisan political debate. And that's the unique part about what happens in Utah and really how Utahns engage in this dialogue, whether it's here in Salt Lake or anywhere else in the state.
You also talk a lot about how the LDS Church helped shape this discussion. Talk about the role that it played.
So last year, about this time, I was actually in Salt Lake and I was able to attend some of General Conference. And I remember that afternoon where Elder Kieran spoke about the church's role in resettling refugees. And the auditorium was dead silent. But it was incredible because the message in that auditorium clearly went across the entire Mormon community, across the state, nationally, and even internationally. And it was just a very clear statement based on their religious beliefs that we should be welcoming the stranger and taking care of people.
And a lot of that comes from the plight that early members of the church faced themselves, being forced from their homes from one state to another. Talk about that connection.
Everything that I read, everything that I researched based on from the LDS Church to get us to this point and how the community engages in the immigration debate, again, it's based on that history, based on on the Mormon community's values, on their history as individuals who came to the region, but then they apply that to refugees and immigrants who are coming to the state now or even into the U.S.
Very interesting twist of fate for the Senator Pierce out of Arizona, who was the sponsor of this law. He, too, a member of the LDS Church, but in the end, it really turned out to not be so good for him.
It was a real turning point for Senator Pierce in Arizona when he claimed that the LDS Church was supporting SB 1070 in Arizona. And in fact, the church does not take a political position on pieces of legislation. And they were in a position, they made a clear statement to the public that what Senator Pierce was doing in Arizona did not represent LDS principles. Rather, what the dialogue that was emerging in Utah is really what they wanted to make sure that the community was shaped by.
And it's such a heated debate now. Where would you like to see it go from here?
I think that the United States, in just about every corner of our country, certainly our members of Congress, should be following the lead that was set by Utah.
Talk about the key points of the Utah Compact.
The Utah Compact set out 5 clear principles. Family, security, fairness to taxpayers, the appropriate role of the federal government, and of course the economic prosperity, the prosperity and the ability of individuals to reach their fullest potential. And those principles guided a values-based constructive dialogue that reshaped our debate in 2010, I think, can reshape our debate now.
Okay, so you're speaking tomorrow. Give us the information on where and when and who all is going to be on it.
So tomorrow at 12 noon at the Hilton here in Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake Chamber is going to be honoring 4 immigrant entrepreneurs who have made the region much better and much stronger, and have not only created jobs for immigrants, but even just as importantly, jobs for Americans and their families.
All right, and there's all the information there for you on your screen, and people can get your book there as well. If not there, where else can they get it?
They can go to Amazon. I'm also going to be at King's English this evening.
All right, very interesting read. The part that I read, I'll have to get to the rest of it
I look forward to the book report on the rest.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for being here. Great to have you with us. Sorry?